Hello, I'm Jerry Ford. Do y'all have a beer ready? Something to drink? Gonna do a story time with Jerry. Haven't done one of these in a while. Thought I'd do one. So let's see. I got a 2 or 3 stories. Some aren't very long, but the first one is one that I was just inspired to do. I started talking about it during banquet, mega bowls, country fried chicken. So anyway, I was remembering back while I watched the video while I was on my lunch about celebrities' doppelgängers, and it reminded me of the time when I worked at Village Inn. I was bussing tables, and this guy walked up to me, and he's just smiling, and looking at me, and reaches out his hand and says, "Hey, man," and I just naturally, shake his hand. He's like, "Man, how are you doing? I haven't seen you in forever. You doing okay?" I was like, Yeah. And I'm in my mind, I'm like, do I know this guy? I mean, does he look familiar to me at all? And he's like, how's your mom? And I'm like, she's doing all right. I'm like, I'm trying to figure out where I would know you from, but I just can't. I don't recognize you. And he's like, what? You gotta be kidding me. I'm like, no. He's like, what is your name? I said, because he was kind of like, is this guy not him? I said, I'm Jerry Ford. He says, oh my gosh, you're not so-and-so? I was like, He's like, man, you look just like him. I'm like, I'm like that close to him? I mean, the guy walked up to me as if I'm him. I was 19 years old, working at Village Inn, Pancake House, bussing tables. I already told you some of that stuff, but yeah, I must look identical to this guy, Hopefully nobody's after him, I get the blunt end of a yeah, that, and then another time happened to just said that I look so much like this guy he knows, and I'm like, really? I said, I've been told that before, that I looked like somebody that they know, and that time I must have been identical, because he was convinced I was him, and he was talking to me as if I was this person, but yeah. Excuse my sniffle. I just got through eating hot sauce on my country fried chicken. So anyway, and this morning I was drinking my coffee, and in my office here, and I felt something crawling on my arm, and I looked down. Guess what it was? No, not a spider. It's a tick. I had a dadgum tick crawling on my arm. Just one of those little, not really a seed tick. They're just a little bit bigger than a seed tick. I think it actually might have been like a deer tick. I think that's what they're called. Crawling on my arm. I was like, what the heck? Where did this guy come from? I mean, I came out of my house this morning, went from my front door to my truck. I'm on a sidewalk. I go underneath a tree, though. If he was in the tree and fell down on my hat and finally made his way down, to my arm, I guess he couldn't find a good enough place up here to suck my blood, I guess. He had to make his way down my arm. I'm glad, because I probably wouldn't have found him for a while if he got up in this area, unless I felt something, like an itching or something. I don't know. Yeah, I got him and killed him, and then coming in from the parking lot when I get here, I walk across a little patch of grass, and underneath another tree. So the only thing I could think of is that it fell out of a tree. But yeah, pretty weird. So then, I mentioned in my review earlier that I haven't been sleeping very good. I've been having these weird dreams, but this one last night was just like really weird because there was some truth to it. So years ago, I had some Oscars, and I can't recollect the time that I did this though. It's kind of weird because it's almost like I remember it happening, but then I don't remember it happening, kind of thing. But if I remember correctly, I let one or two of my Oscars go in a creek, like a spillway type thing. And it was like a thing where it was kind of an urgency. I needed to do it because I was like leaving town or something. I couldn't find anything else to do with them, and I didn't want to flush them. So I think I let them go in this spillway. Do you guys know what an Oscar is? There's a tiger Oscar and there's a red Oscar. There's cichlids. That's a species. They are a fish. They're from South Africa. South African cichlids. And they get huge. Yeah. This is an 18-inch ruler. They get every bit of that size in the natural, environment. So, but like I said, I can't remember if I actually did it. I don't know, it's kind of weird. But let's get to the dream, because this is what's weird, is that in my dream, my late little brother is in it. And I walk over to this spillway. Kind of looked familiar. And I walked down to the edge of the water, and I'm looking in there, and I see, some kind of a big catfish. He just caught a fish, smaller fish, and he's eating on it, And he kind of sees me, and he kind of goes on. And there's other fish, and I look around, and I'm like, what? You gotta be kidding me. And there was red Oscars in there. I mean, like a lot of them, and they were huge. They were huge red Oscars swimming around in there, and I'm like, now it wasn't my original Oscar that I had when I was really, really young, because he died. He got to be really old. He got so old that he only had one gill working and one fin. He was in bad shape. But in the dream, see, when I had that little red Oscar, I had him in a 55-gallon aquarium. I think I started off in a 29-gallon at first, but I would do this at the glass because they kind of act like that. I did that, and he would do that back at me when I did that. And I was looking at these Oscars, and I thought, I wonder if one of these are mine. Couldn't have been that one because he died. But in the dream, I'm doing this at them, and they kind of look at me, and none of them do the action back or anything. But across the way there's my wife and somebody else standing out there, and they're like waving, and because they must think I'm waving at them. I don't know. It was weird. It was weird. But yeah, these big old red Oscars were swimming around in there, and just happy as can be. The water was like maybe 3 foot deep. Didn't look like it was very deep, but they were thriving in there. And I was thinking, I wonder if I started this, they bred in there and just survived all this time. But it was, you know how dreams are. A lot of times they don't make a dadgum bit of sense. But and then sometimes they just seem so real, like it did happen. You know, like, you know, it's weird. It's really weird. All those stories didn't take as long as what I thought they might. But I gotta make this story time with Jerry worth it. Did any of you ever get into fish and aquariums? Ever since I was really, really young, I was into fish. Living in Colorado, Loveland, Colorado. My brother, Wayne, who's now passed, he would go to this small lake nearby our trailer court that we lived in, and he'd put a minnow trap in. You know what a minnow trap is? There's like a basket, the funnel on each side, then there's kind of wire where fish don't, once they go in, they'll go in easy to get the food inside the basket. But they can't come out very easy because they're afraid of that entrance being, dangerous or whatever. So they just are trapped in there. So you let it set overnight and you go get it the next day, and there's all kinds of stuff in there. There's crawdads, minnows, little catfish, bullheads, perch, all kinds of stuff in there. Snake sometimes, but it's fun. So he did that, and he got a hold of a bunch of baby bullhead catfish. It must have been like a little school of the babies that got in there, and man, it was just like crazy amount. And he poured them out into a bucket, and you can just see them all swimming around in there. And I thought it was fascinating. I was probably about 11, 12 years old, maybe somewhere around there. I was sticking my hand in there, Oh, wow, that's weird. Ow! Come out, and one of them, they have dorsal fins back there. I don't know if it was the dorsal or the side. They have little thorns on their fins on the sides as well. And he was like hanging from my finger, and I was like, ow, make me bleed. So that was my first experience with one of those, but I didn't put any of those in my little aquarium. My little aquarium, I think I had like some different types of minnows. I think I put some crawdads in there. I was going down to this irrigation ditch. It's a runoff of a stream that goes through a field where they grow stuff. And I was always catching crawdads out of there, this irrigation ditch and stuff, and other little fish and stuff. But I was always putting that kind of stuff in my aquarium. But that was just a little 10-gallon. Then later on, I got a 30-gallon when I got older. And I got into cichlids, African cichlids, and I had all different kinds in there. I was going to this fish store called the Fish Bowl in Loveland. It's probably gone by now. But I go down there. I was working at the Elks Lodge with my dad. Well, actually, it was nights. He worked days as a maintenance man. But I was making my own money. I'm still young. When you're young like that, your mom and dad ain't gonna make you pay rent for living there, But so I had money to blow, so I would go down and get fish, at the fish bowl store, and I was getting all kinds of stuff, learning about them, just watching them, fascinated by them. I think that was my first time I ever got a red-tailed shark. They're really pretty. This wasn't a cichlid; it's a freshwater fish, but they have a mouth like an algae eater, and their body is just like silky black, just like real smooth black, and then their back dorsal fin is red and their tail is red. I don't remember if their side fins are red or not, but they're a beautiful shark species, freshwater shark species, but only, it's like, I think it's in the algae eater family. But yeah, there's a lot of those those kinds. But yeah, I had cichlids for a long time at first, and I left from Loveland to South Carolina for my summer vacation. Spent three or 4 months in South Carolina to visit my brother Wayne, when he lived down there, and my sister-in-law, and my friend lived down there. So I was gone for like 4 months or something like that, and my mom and dad were taking care of my fish for me, and they'd feed them, you know. And my mom told me when I got back after so many months away, that tank looks so bad. I mean, they're not going to clean my aquarium. They'll feed them, you know. But it was at the foot of my bed. My mom said that her and my dad would sit there on the edge of the bed and just watch them and just be bewildered by them. How interesting it was to watch them. Yeah, it was cool to hear that they enjoyed watching the fish and stuff. But later on, yeah, when I got older, I got another aquarium. I've had to get rid of them and get them, get rid of them, get them, you know, kind of back and forth. But I wanted to get another red tail shark, and I started getting, I think this is when I got a 55 gallon. I think that's the biggest I've ever had. But I wanted to get all the freshwater shark species. I got a red tail shark, I got a black shark, I got a rainbow shark, I got an albino shark, and one of the most coolest fish in the shark species are the high fin shark. To look that up, the thing was awesome. I paid like, how much was that? Might have been $15 for just this one fish, but he was just so cool. I had to have him for my community, you know. But all of these fish, all these shark species, they're dominators. They fight for dominance. And when you see a red-tailed shark and a black shark fighting, man, that's just crazy. The black shark was really interesting. It was a different shaped. And this black shark, the red-tailed sharks get about, probably the biggest one you'll see is maybe 7 to 7.5 inches. The black shark, they get this big. They're huge. They get huge. But yeah, they go back and forth in dominance. But they were just amazing to watch. The albino shark is really kind of a pretty fish. It's got a pink hue to its skin, and its fins are like blood red, kind of blood reddish, kind of light pinkish. Really neat. The rainbow shark's got a gray body with red fins. Yeah, I mean, but it just, the fighting was just going on and on and on and on and on, and it started getting on my nerves just a little bit. And you can take the fish back to the fish store, and you can trade them in for credit for other fish if they're in good condition. They check them for ick, which is a fin disease that fish can have, you know, among other diseases freshwater fish can get. Yeah, so then I just got into community fish, which I had some angels, Plecostomus, what was the other one? Anyway, angelfish, real pretty. They're a pan-sized fish. They're real thin. Kind of like this. Then they got this high fin up here, and they got these tail draggers that kind of hang down. Even their side fins kind of are like that. They're real pretty. They kind of got a marble color to them, black and gray. Colored fish. And then I wanted to get all catfish. I was getting all the catfish I could. I got pangasius cats, bumblebee cats, banjo cat. Can't remember the other cats. And then I got a shovel-nosed cat. He was really cool. Really cool. He's silver with grayish spots. And he had these antennae, kind of, you know how catfish have, they had the whiskers. His whiskers came way out. And he was just so cool looking. See, there were some other ones. Anyway, I miss having an aquarium. But it just got to be a lot of maintenance to keep those things clean. Anyway, the way I did it is probably an easier way to do it, but I have to siphon out the water into 5-gallon buckets with the big siphoners. Kind of looks like a big vacuum. And you're going through the gravel to get all the, you know, the waste out, you know, waste from the fish out of there and stuff. And then you got to carry them things out. Come back, get another one. Come back, get another one, depending on what gallon aquarium you got. And then I was filling the buckets back up with fresh water to go back in it, and I was adding dechlorine to the water to take the chlorine out before I dump it in. And I always had a side filter system too, which helped a lot. But yeah, I spent probably 30 years having aquariums and fish. It's just a fun, interesting hobby. My wife, she got into it too. But anyway, hope that was interesting, you hearing about that. It's a fun kind of thing. They're not, I guess you can call them pets, but because you get attached to them, you know, particular ones. It's not like having an ant farm, you know. It's a little bit more personal than that, you know. But that one Oscar I had that I was talking about, this, I could put my hand in the aquarium and he would come over like this. And he would just lay on my hand like that, and I could pet him. It's real easy. You know, I'd have to put my other hand in there, of course. But yeah, he was cool, and his name was Oscar. But yeah. So anyway, yeah, it was a sad thing when I saw him getting old. I had him in Loveland, Colorado, and I brought him with me from Loveland to Oklahoma, and I had him for a long time. When my wife and I got married, we moved into an apartment, and I had an aquarium in the apartment. I went to work early one morning, and my wife comes in to the kitchen after she gets up and around, and she was scared by something on the floor flopping around. My Oscar had jumped out of the tank and was on the ground, and she went and got a paper towel and picked him up and put him back in, and he was okay. Pretty hardy fish. They pretty tough, you know. But yeah, fortunately she found him soon enough that he didn't die, you know, out of water. But yeah, I had him for, man, many years. But he finally just got old, and that gill, one of those gills, was just not working, and he just wasn't doing good. The only one fin was going. My older brother, that kind of got me into aquariums, he comes over to visit me one day, and he looks in there, he says, this is how he talks. "Oh, Jerry, that Oscar, Jerry, he's not doing good. You need to do something about him." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Do what? Do what about him?" He says, "You need to put him out of his misery, Jerry." I'm like, "What?" "Yeah, just take him outside and just cut him in half or something. With, you know, just put him out of his misery." I'm like, "Cut him in half? You got to be kidding me!" I mean, he was like a pet. I mean, he was like a, you know, I cared for the fish, in other words. And he's talking about cutting it in half, and I'm like, I can't do that. He says, "Jerry, he's suffering. You need to do something." I'm like, oh man. Do you want me to do it, Jerry? Yeah, I guess so. So, I have a machete type knife. It's a heavy blade. It's not one of those thin things that you can, you know, bend. It's a heavy machete type of a cleaver type knife. Things, found it years ago, but I keep it sharp, you know. And I told him where it was, and he took care of it, and he says, "Okay, it's done." And I'm like, he just, I didn't even want to watch him, but he told me, he says, "Jerry, I just stuck my hand in there, and I put my hand under him like this, and I brought him right out of the tank, and he wasn't even flopping around. He didn't even fight me the whole way outside. That's how weak he was, and he was ready." But he put him in a paper towel, both halves, you know, and I didn't look at him, but I dug a hole in my backyard over there, and I buried him in a hole over there. That was where my other house was. My backyard was a pet cemetery. I had cats and dogs both back there, and a fish. So, but anyway, almost 30 minutes. Just kind of chatting, you know, whoever, some people like to drink a beer and just listen to me go on, and it's like we're just kind of sitting across from each other and just talking, visiting, you know. But I thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and let me know if you enjoyed this story time. I do have a playlist if you're interested in my story times. I don't mention my playlist very much, but go to my playlist area, and I'm pretty sure I put them in a playlist, you know, category. And listen to them. You might find them really interesting. Okay, yeah, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. See you on the next one. Bye.